Let's see if it's working here. All right. Happy Thursday, Black Lesbian Love Lab. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Let me just see if I am live. I can't tell yet if it's been announced. There we go. I see some people on. Hey there. It's been a long time, ladies. I have been sick, so I have been unable to be here and talk to you. I got sick at the end of February and had this horrible cough. So it's just been crazy. So I'm so happy to be back. I've missed this so much. Hi, Lon. So I'm happy to be here. I still have a little bit of the cough. I do have a cough drop in, so that I can try to keep it at bay, but I got some new meds. Hi, Coffee. Got some new meds yesterday, and I can tell a difference already, so I'm so excited. I'm grateful for doctors and grateful for health insurance. Hi, Angela. Thank you so much. And just grateful to breathe again, and to feel like myself again, because it has been crazy. And to top it off, I was sick, and I'm in finals. This is my last week of school, so I've been battling being sick and tired and trying to get papers and projects complete. So it has been a crazy couple of weeks for me, but I'm excited to be back and to be live again. So welcome. Today's topic is about family pathology and family loyalty, and it came about last time we met when we talked about living from the neck down. Yes, Coffee. God bless this government insurance. Yeah. Last time we talked about living from the neck down, and in that conversation, some things came up about family pathologies and family loyalty. So we are going to talk about that today. So do me a favor. If you have some friends, some family members that you think need to hear this topic, just go ahead and send them the link to watch this video. You can send it to them, post it on their Facebook wall, or you can send it to them in a message if you want to keep it private. So please share this so that we get as many people as possible watching and hearing about what we're doing over here in Black Lesbian Love Lab. So tell me, how's your day going? How's the last 2 weeks been? I haven't talked to you in a while. Anything exciting or crazy going on in your world? Please tell me about it. Place it in the comment section. I just want to hear about what's been going on in your world. Some of you have been with me from the beginning, and you made that commitment to saying no. You made that commitment to putting yourself first, to saying yes to yourself, and saying no to doing things you don't want to do. I want to hear about that. Let me know what's going on. Please tell me, share it in the comments section. And this as a reminder, it is 2018, and when you add up the 20 or the 2 plus the 0 plus the 1 plus the 8, it equals 11. And so this year is a master number, which means that everything we speak, what we put our energy into this year will manifest, and it will manifest quickly. And the way the energy on the planet is currently designed is the way that the energy on the planet, is currently designed. We're being invited to look at what we went through in 2016 and 2017 and apply those lessons, those opportunities to 2018. So if you're going through something right now, or if anything comes up at this point in 2018 for you, then just take a moment, or moments. You might need more than a moment, but take some time to just get still and check in and look at what happened. Hi, Shirley. Look at what happened in 2016 and look at what happened in 2017 and look for those themes that happened in your life in 2016, 2017, and sit with how can you apply those lessons to your current experience. That's what we're being invited to do. We are being invited by the universe to live our lives present, to live our lives in this right now moment, meaning 2018, and no longer living our lives from the past. And we are being invited to look at the patterns in our life and the themes in our life and take those awarenesses and those lessons, those opportunities, and apply it to now. And so that's the invitation, and that's the reminder about 2018. Oh, yay. So Coffee saying blogs up, sisters moving out, slowly carving out a life. Congratulations, Coffee. That's amazing. Yay. So that looks like when our physical environment changes, so like when we move or we experience transition like that, what that means is there's been a shift in our consciousness. The physical arena is usually the last to see the effect of the changes that we're making internally. So that's good news for you, Coffee. Congratulations. I'm excited to see what unfolds for you as it relates to you carving out a life for yourself. And you're welcome. All right. So this thing about patterns and looking at lessons totally takes us right into our topic for today about family pathology and family loyalty. So family pathology is those things. So this is my definition. Family pathology is those things that we inherit from our family that are not biological. So we obviously can inherit high blood pressure or diabetes or, certain diseases. And so I'm not speaking about those. I'm speaking about things like your attitude or things, I guess attitude could possibly be genetic, maybe, I don't know. But things like how you handle relationships, things like giving of yourself to your detriment. What I've become aware of, I'll give an example of myself, what I've become aware of as a family pathology that is present with all of the women in my family, my grandmother, my mother, my aunts, is the need to be right. And so we are masterful at this need to be right. And so I grew up with a mother who argued me and anybody else to prove her need to be right and would become a bully about it. My aunts are similar. The way it manifests for them is very different than it did for my mom. My grandmother's the same way. It's manifested in me. The way that you handle or the way that you allow people to treat you, the way that you handle your intimate relationships or your platonic relationships, the way you handle money, the way you operate in your life is an example of family pathology. So Coffee is saying, I inherited petty parenting and abundance of generosity and openness. Yes, thank you for sharing. Hi, Standing Strong. Corinne is saying friendship dynamics, what friends mean comes from family pathology. Absolutely. And the reason why this happens is because as children, our parents are gods. And I have air quotes with gods, obviously. And so we look at them and model our behavior with them. Even your relationship to your body and how you handle food. And meaning, are you full, but your plate is still full and you eat it anyway? Do you starve yourself? Do you... So Shirley is asking, what is petty parenting? So please share with us your definition of petty parenting. Do you think you're fat? Do you always, do you pick over your food, or you withhold food because you witnessed your mother do the same? And so all of these things are pathologies, and we learn them from the time we're children. And as children, one of the things that happens is that we see what our parents do, and we see it as law. So standing strong, the topic is family pathology and loyalty. So we see it as law as children, and until we make the conscious choice to release that, and this is where the loyalty comes in, which I'll come to in a second. But until we make the conscious choice to let go of what our parents defined, or what we defined as law based on what we saw in our parents, then we will continue to operate and live that way. Well, standing strong, the topic is right on top of the video. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But thanks for that recommendation about pinning it. But it's right on top. All right. So the loyalty piece of this occurs when we fight. Like, there's a part of us that are very loyal to our parents. We just come out the womb with it. There's a part of us that are very committed to not making them look bad, and not making it seem like they didn't do a great job. And so sometimes we will hold on to things that we learned and gained from our parents. And even if it's biological or adopted or surrogate, whoever your primary caregivers are, we still develop this. So we develop this loyalty because we don't want to disappoint them. And deep down inside, we all have this need and desire for our parents to approve of us and accept us. And sometimes we tell ourselves that if we go against what they have taught us, if we go against what they believe, then we are somehow dishonoring them and discrediting them. And so we remain loyal to the patterns and to the upbringing that they provided for us, even if it hurts us. And so what my offering is, there's just some things that we got that you just gonna deal with, like I will always, and this is really a loose example, but I will always put bleach in my dishwater when I wash dishes. That is something that my mother does, my grandmother does it, my aunts do it. It's just something that I will always do. So that isn't something that I care to release, but what I do care to release is this need to be right. And this need to, and I shared a little while ago, that's a family pathology of my family that I've learned. And it's like embedded in my fibers, to this need to be right. So I consciously choose to work on the need to be right. All right. So we have a couple of comments. Let's see what's going on here. So standing strong. Did you give us a definition of petty parenting? I just want to make sure. So Coffee is saying, when I found out my son was having sex, I showed him a picture of a blue waffle. Oh, and I've seen that. When I found out another was smoking weed, I had his 3-year-old cousin call him a junkie for a week. That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. And Coffee says, I renamed his puppy Thought. Oh, interesting. So Corinne is saying, I will always nurture and mother, not good, my person. Learned it from my grandmother and other women in my family. I tried to balance that. So your person, meaning your romantic person? Is that what you mean by that? And I like your point about nurture and mother, and you put not good in parentheses. And that's a really powerful awareness. Okay. So I see. Coffee. Thank you. So your example of the blue waffle is your definition. Is that what you're considering petty parenting? All right. Thanks, Karim. Yeah, that's a very powerful awareness in terms of the mothering. A lot of us did that. Like a lot of us witnessed our mothers mother their partners, and so then we do the same. And so to shift out of this, if it's detrimental, so let me just clarify by that. You only want to look at those things that aren't working for you. So if they're causing you angst, if they're causing you hurt, pain, upset, anger, any kind of low vibration energy, if it's causing a problem in your life, then it's something you want to look at. Okay? And make some conscious choices around that. And one of the ways to make change is, or how to make change is, first you have to become aware of it. So you've got to become aware of what's going on and the impact it's having on you, and then the impact it has on others. So what's other people's experience of you? So using Corinne's example of the mothering, the people that you're in relationship with, what is their experience of mothering them, of you mothering them? And going back to my example of the need to be right, the other people in my life, their experience of my need to be right is that they feel bullied by me. They feel like I'm bossing them around. And then what really made me begin to shift it is I read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. And he says that the need to be right is a form of violence. And I never thought about it that way until I read that. And it blew me away. And when I thought about it, it is a form of violence. Because what is violence? Forcing one's will onto someone else. And so me forcing my position, and granted it isn't the same as me hitting someone, but forcing my position onto someone and not listening to them, it is a small version of violence. And so as you're thinking about yourself and your family pathology, you want to think about what's causing me stress and get clear on the awareness. So the first step is becoming aware. The second step is acknowledging it. So acknowledging, wow, I am a bully, or I always have to be right. Or, I mother people I'm making this up. I don't know if this is your case, Corinne, but I'm making this up. But I mother people to control them. Or I'm mothering people because I need to feel safe and keep them close by. So if I mother them, then they won't leave me. So you've got to acknowledge to yourself, or I don't want to say you have to, because you don't have to do anything. But the opportunity is to acknowledge. So becoming aware of what it is, that's the first step. Second step is acknowledging what is coming up for you. So what's the root of it? What's fueling it? Is it the fear of being alone? Is it your ego being bruised, or not wanting to look bad, wanting to look good, wanting to put a certain image up? So asking yourself those questions. All right, so let me see the other comments that we have coming here. Standing Strong is asking, am I wrong for forgiving my mom and dad and moving my life without communicating with them? So I don't like to say right or wrong, Standing Strong. I do not think that it's out of order to forgive. I definitely think that forgiving, which is a very challenging thing to do, but forgiving is really a gift for us. So when you forgive someone, it's really an opportunity for you to open your heart space. But I want to invite you to really look at, so you said for moving with my life without communicating with them. So does that mean that you have no contact with your parents at all? Does that mean that you have limited contact? And just in my personal opinion, on the basis of the laws of the universe in terms of honoring our parents, I think that we have, as children, and these people gave us life, I think that we have a responsibility to be in communication with them in some way. And I'm not saying that they have to be a part of your life every day, but I do believe that it needs to be some respect and acknowledgement of their presence and who they've been in your life. So to give you an example, several years ago, my mother and I had what I refer to as that moment that every daughter has with her mom, where the daughter has to let the mother know, I am an adult and I am no longer a little girl, and you do not get to control me and take over my life and tell me what to do. So my mother and I had that moment, and she refused to talk to me until I apologized to her. And my response to her was, I hear you, and I am unwilling to apologize for a choice that I made that honors me. And I'm sorry that you didn't like that choice. And I'm sorry that that choice caused you some kind of discomfort. But I made a choice that honors me, and I'm not going to apologize for that. And so she wouldn't talk to me until I apologized. And I was unwilling to apologize. So me being the daughter, I decided that I would call her once a week, and I would just say, hey, it's, and she would answer the phone, and I would just say, hey, just checking in, how are you doing? And then I would just move, and then our conversations would be really short. We eventually got past it, but I did my part. And so I just want to invite you, Standing Strong, to think about your part. And, and this is really a little bit extreme, but this is the best way, I think, to support people and really looking at their relationship with people. So if something were to happen to your mother or happen to you where you never got to speak to her again, would you be okay with where things stood right now? And that was a question I asked myself with my mom at that time. And from my part, I was okay with where things stood if something were to happen to her. And so that's just one of the ways that I gauge myself when it comes to addressing parents, because it's such a, just on the spiritual level, our relationship with our parents really impacts our journey in significant ways. And, ultimately, regardless of what they did, didn't do, could have done, they gave us life, right? So there's a certain piece of acknowledging that piece of it, and then finding a way to be respectful. So I hope that makes sense. And I see that you're responding to my questions, and I'll get to it. I'm going to scroll down. So Coffee says, I inherited my mother's hospitality and nurturing for my father's soldiers. I used to do the same indiscriminately. Now I have honed my ability to be both without becoming their mother. Unfortunately, it wasn't until the last relationship that I picked up. So amazing. That's a great awareness, Coffee, because that's what our intimate relationships do. Like, they're genuinely designed to come in and support us in seeing ourselves. Like, they are mirrors, and they reflect back to us, and the stuff that we need to see. And so let me just remind y'all before I continue reading the comments that we do have a private group for Black Lesbian Love Lab, where you get the opportunity to work with me in a group coaching. We actually have a group coaching tomorrow for everyone in the private group. There's giveaways. There's amazing speakers that come in. So check it out. See if it works for you. You get half off your first month. And you actually spend less money going out to eat than you do on this call. So definitely check it out. All right. So Wendy says, my partner always tells me to stop mothering her. Great. Wendy, how's that make you feel? And when when you hear her say that, what do you feel in your body? And what do you think about that? How do you feel about not mothering her? Thank you for sharing that. Standing Strong says, my mom keeps making excuses for not protecting me and my sisters and brothers from abuse and neglect. That's tough. I think that sometimes our parents, and I've had a similar experience with my mom, Standing Strong, where they like go in denial and can't wrap their brain around what happened, and it's very hard for them, for some of them, to be able to admit and acknowledge where they dropped the ball, where they did not do what they have been, God entrusted their children into their care and to take care of them, and our parents, a lot of them dropped the ball on that. And I don't get that. I don't understand that. I mean, looking at it from a different perspective, there have been times in my life where I've engaged in certain behavior and I have been unable to take responsibility for it. And it's ego. It's about looking good and not wanting to admit that I failed. So that may be what's going on. So Standing Strong says, again, me and my mom do not, my mom doesn't call or contact me until she needs something. My dad is always talking about me and brothers putting us down. It's like they don't care. My mom and dad don't even know my, let's see, I'm trying to get it to, oh, come on. Get it to come down. My mom and dad don't even know my birthday. My heart goes out to you. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a very tough experience to have. So my heart definitely goes out to you. Thank you, Coffee, for your offering to Standing Strong. Thank you so much for that. Standing Strong says, I'm at work, Coach Maq. I'll have to go back and look at the video later. All right, thanks, Standing Strong. Have a great day. We'll see you next week, hopefully. So Ernetta says, I just lost my mother on January 30th. I just pray for your mother's spirit. I pray that your mother's spirit is resting in peace and that she is in the light. And I pray for you and your family, and that God's healing angels are surrounded by you and your family as you go through this process. So my heart is with you, and thank you for sharing that. I'm so in disbelief. I wish I would have. I wish I would have been before she passed. Heaven took my earth. Yeah. And you bring up a very interesting point, Ernetta, or Enetta, I think I'm saying it right. Excuse me, Enetta. I hope I'm saying it right. We're going to talk about grief next week. It's something that I am really passionate about, because I'm recognizing that we don't have a language for handling grief. So we'll definitely talk about that. And so I just want to offer to you, Enetta, as you're going through this process of grief, with your mom's passing being very hasn't been that long. It's probably still feels like it was most recent. I want to offer that you allow yourself to be where you are, and the metaphor that I tell people who experience grief, the metaphor that I tell them all the time is that grief is like waves at the beach. So when you go to the beach and you're standing on the shore and the waves come in, sometimes those waves at the beach come in and they hit you, the waves hit you at your ankles and you feel it, but it doesn't like rock you, right? It doesn't rock you, and you're able to still stand. And then there are times when the waves come and they'll jolt you, and they'll kind of make you have to, like step to the side a little bit. And my I had a call coming, so I had to end that. And then there are times when the waves will come and they'll knock you down and they'll knock you flat on your ass. And while you're down there, it'll feel like, sometimes it feels like you won't be able to get back up. And then the people around you, sometimes they don't get it and they don't know, like, why doesn't she get back up? What is she doing? Especially people who've never been through it. You know, until someone has experienced losing a parent, they will never, know what it feels like. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what your relationship with your parent was. In my opinion, it rocks you to your core and takes you out in a way that you just didn't imagine. And especially if you were very close to that parent and if that parent had a significant role in your life. And sometimes it doesn't matter if you're close to that parent because everybody's different. And so the point of that analogy of the waves is that that's how grief is. And it comes in waves. And some days you have good days, some days you have bad days, some days you get knocked down, and some days you are able to get back up immediately, and some days you stay down there for a while. And what my offering is that when the waves come, allow them to come, and try to be as gentle and loving to yourself as you can when you get knocked down, and know that you'll get back up, and that there is a life force, presence, power within you that will support you in getting back up. Even if that's 3 days later, 2 days later, or so on. Coffee, thank you for sharing that this is your life every day. And then Inetta is saying, yes, that's my feeling, and I have daughters, so I have to bounce back, and that's a struggle right now. And tell me how old your daughters are, if you don't mind sharing. So those of you who just joined us, thank you for joining us. I'm Coach Maq Elé, the official life coach for Black Lesbian Love Lab. Thank you for joining us. Today's topic is about family pathology, family loyalty, and family pathology being those things that we inherit from our family, be it our immediate family, extended family, and it's those things that are not hereditary. So it's things like, how you clean your home, how you take care of your home, how you take care of yourself, how you handle relationships. All of those things that are not things that you get from your genetics are all family pathologies. Excuse me. And we're talking about our loyalty to them and having that willingness to acknowledge or to become aware of those things that we've inherited from our family that are not serving us. And then acknowledging what is it rooted in. A lot of times those things are rooted in fear or byproducts of fear. And like fear of being alone or needing to be right or our ego needing to look good. So acknowledging what's running and fueling these pathologies that you have is the second step to being able to clear it. And then acceptance is the last step. And so acceptance is, all right, I've got to accept that this need to be right is in my blood. It's in my DNA. It is all up in my who I am. And I got it honest because all the women in my family are queens of it, like queens of the need to be right. So I can accept that. And I'm accepting that this is part of who I am. And I also recognize that I have choice. And so I've been very intentional in my interactions with people. I'm very intentional in my prayer time. And as I navigate my journey and checking myself and tracking, so tracking meaning like questioning, what's my intention? Why am I saying this? Why am I doing this? What am I going for? And, you know, asking myself that question, does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? Does it need to be said by me right now? Thank you, Annetta. Peace and blessings to you. And I just want to say, with your daughters who are 13 and 19, talk to them about what you're experiencing and what you're feeling. Because you doing that, and I know it may be hard, but you telling them what's going on with you will give them permission to be present to their emotions as they grow up. And it will also give them the space to communicate with you their interpretation of your experience. Because children have a tendency to blame themselves when our parents are not okay. So if you let them know, you know, where you are and how you're feeling, and let them know that it's not their fault and that they're not responsible for your feelings, and you communicate with them, then it'll support them in developing an emotional relationship with themselves and having an emotional intelligence. And I'll talk about next week as well some ways to support yourself in moving through the grief process. So we'll discuss that. So I want to thank you again for sharing your story and your experience. So it looks like Zamara signed in. She has placed a link to the private group in the comments section, so please check it out to see if this group will work for you. And you can cancel anytime, so check us out. All right, so we got some more comments. Let's see. Hi, Tori. Thanks for joining. So Tori is saying, I have been cleaning out my issues involving my mother, and our relationship has gotten better. However, I am very hurt. Oh, come on. Sorry, y'all. I got my phone twisted horizontally. And so I haven't quite figured out how to use it yet this way. So forgive me. All right. Let's see. So Tori is saying, come on. All right. Oh, Tori told us a lot. I'm excited. All right. However, I am very hurt that she didn't teach me a lot of things I learned from someone that isn't her. I recently moved out because that was a choice I did to honor myself. But she was hurt by that, and she often shuts people out in a mean way when they hurt her. For example, when I left, she deep cleaned the house and changed the decor, which made me feel some type of way. Because when I came to visit, she out in my face, like, look what I did. She always wants the credit for everything. However, I don't feel like she deserves all of it because she didn't prepare me for a lot of things. But on the other hand, I feel guilty because she has her own pain and has done a lot to keep me safe and loved, although she didn't love me the way I needed. And I feel our relationship is better when we are apart, and when I'm with her for too long, I quickly get annoyed. So thank you so much for sharing that, Tori. I think what you're sharing is, I mean, it's classic example of the relationships we have with our mothers, especially as Black women. And, you know, honestly, a lot of our mothers didn't have it to give us. They just didn't have the presence, the emotional availability, the mental space, the mental capacity to give us what we needed, primarily like loving us the way we needed. They just didn't know how to do it, you know. And to give you an example, I was one of those children that all my mom had to do was tell me she was disappointed in me, and I would have straightened up. Because the thought of her being disappointed in me or mad at me rocked me to my core. But she never noticed it. And instead, she used to beat me for everything. No matter what it was, she would always get the belt and beat me. And that just created bitterness inside of me. And so in my work that I've done on myself, I've been able to realize that my mother, again, going back to this pathology and going back to the family loyalty, did what was done to her. Her parents didn't have the emotional capacity to sit down and talk to her about why she was getting into fights every day or why she did this at school. They just beat her for it. And so she did the same thing. And my mother didn't have the space. She didn't have coaching. She didn't have therapy or counseling, or she didn't even go to college to learn there's another way to address this behavior than beating a child. And so she did what she knew how to do. And I'm able to do different with my son because of my experience, of what I experienced, and then having the wherewithal to learn something different. Well, he's my surrogate son, by the way, but so I'm able to be different, and I'm able to interact differently with him because I know how it made me feel, and I have that presence within myself to make a different choice. Now, there are moments when I feel in my body that I just want to beat him, whenever I have him, because he's driving me crazy. But because I have been able to work on myself and heal the pain from those experiences, I don't rely on that. I'm able to choose something else. I hope that makes sense. All right, let me see what else is here. So Coffee is saying, I believed my mother's stomach cancer was a result of her holding things in. As a result, I shot my feelings from the rooftop. I definitely can agree with that, releasing emotions and how powerful that is. So Tori is saying again, I get needing to be right from her and my father, and I get fear from them as well. I know that when I stay on my path in light, I'll be okay. However, I want to know what else I can do with my mother to honor myself and respect her at all times. So I think, Tori, and again, this is coming from my own personal experience, what really helped me was I had a lot of anger at my mother for not being the mother that I needed. My mother was a provider. She wasn't a mother. So she provided. We had food, we had clothing, we had shelter, we had water. We always had what we needed in terms of our physical life. But I didn't get from her what I needed emotionally and mentally and spiritually. And I had a lot of anger towards her for that. And it took me a while. I think I was close to 30 before I realized that, wow, even though I wanted those things from her and she didn't give them to me, I had someone else in my life who gave them to me. So my mom's sister, my aunt, was giving me those things from day one, from the time I was born. And I never made that connection. So it's almost like the universe provided for me, like gave me what I needed, but because it didn't come from the person I wanted it to come from, I couldn't see it. So when I had that awareness that my aunt was giving me that my whole life, I was able to forgive my mother, and I forgave myself for the judgments I was holding towards her about that. And then after that, I began to see the stuff that my mother went through in her childhood. And that allowed me to see that she didn't have it to give me. She just couldn't do it. It's like if you have a bank account and I come to you and I say, can I have $5,000? And you only have $200 in your bank account, you just can't give it to me. And so, but I'm a person who operates from, like, I have to understand things first, and then I'm able to, like, process the emotion behind it. So having that understanding supported me. And so for you, the opportunity is to look at what do you need, in order to make peace with your experience with her. And a lot of it is your age. you know, like you're at that age where your relationship with your mother is in this weird place where you're like becoming an adult and you're not a child anymore, but yet maybe she still supports you in some kind of way. And so you're in that really rocky place that all of us go through. So I think that definitely space and time will contribute to that and will help you. But the biggest offering is that you getting clear on what do you need to be at peace? What do you need to accept what happened? It doesn't mean, like, acceptance doesn't mean you have to like it. Acceptance doesn't mean that you're saying it's okay. But it's like, acceptance is about acknowledging this happened and I've got to be, and being okay with that. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So Coffee is saying, I still became her. I have fibromyalgia because I never expressed a need, nor did I take a break and rest. Powerful awareness, Coffee. I think we talked last time about the fibromyalgia and that part of pain. So I definitely think, Coffee, I think I told you before, send me a message. I know a healer, a naturopath doctor and healer that is really powerful and can support you in getting to the root cause of the fibromyalgia. So yeah, send me a note. Let me know if you're interested in getting her information. At the very least, just having a conversation with her to see what she can offer. All right, ladies, my time is wrapping up. What else would you like to say? And no, thank you all so much. Tori, I am so grateful for your sharing and appreciate your vulnerability. I hope that what I shared made sense and is supportive. So just to summarize again, this piece of family pathology and loyalty, the way to clear it is becoming aware. So what's going on, acknowledging your part. So acknowledging the belief, acknowledging the thoughts, the fears that are like the root of this pathological behavior, and then accepting it. So accepting your past, accepting your pain or the pain from your past, just accepting what happened. And then again, accepting doesn't mean that you're giving it, that you're saying it was okay. Accepting doesn't mean that someone was right or someone was wrong. It just means, you know what? I had a mother who was a provider, who didn't mother, who didn't nurture, who dropped the ball on taking care of my emotional needs. And I accept that, and I accept that even though she couldn't do that, there was someone else in my life who gave it. So I'm going to celebrate that person, and I'm going to acknowledge and accept that my mother did the absolute best that she could with what she had. And then her mother did the absolute best that she could with what she had, and so on. My great-grandmother, and so on. And then looking at what steps you can take to begin to change your behavior. So putting an intervention in place for yourself to pause. So for example, when I feel myself engaging in conversation with someone and like pushing my point, then I take a breath and then I just like back up and I stop fighting. And then I, support myself in listening to what they're saying. And sometimes what I have to do is say to the other person, you know what? I'm really upset right now and I can't hear you. I can't hear what you're saying. I can't receive what you're saying, and I'm fighting to be right with you. So what I'm asking is, can we pause this conversation and pick it up again tomorrow when I've had time to calm down and sleep on it? And that creates that space, creates that space to open up the conversation. So that's just an example of an intervention that I've done. So Wendy is saying, my partner, I need to get in your group. We need someone like you to talk to. Yes, check out the group. Send us a message. We'll be happy to give you some details about it. Zamara has put the link into the group to support you and getting some more details about the private group. Thank you so much, Wendy. Tori is saying thank you. I got a lot of support from your personal story. Oh, you're so welcome. It makes sense. Great. You're absolutely right. Oops, I can't put my finger right there because that causes me to cover the camera. I'm left-handed and my camera's on the left, and so I'm sorry for all the times that my finger showed up. Yes, Tori's saying I have to come to terms with my experience. Thank you for listening, giving support. You're awesome. Thank you to Giselle Bella, who picked up the ball for my mom. Yay, Giselle, thank you. And teaching me to live in my light. I'm grateful for you and powerful Black women around me. Thank you so much, Tori. It's great. All right, ladies. So next week I will be back Thursday at 1:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week's topic is about grief. And let me just say that grief, the topic of grief, doesn't necessarily just have to be around the death of someone. It can be around the death of a dream, the loss of a friendship, loss of a job, loss of a pet, you name it. Loss, grief, all of that. Loss of, your childhood. There's many things that can fall on that spectrum of grief. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to share my personal experience with grief and what I'm learning about it. I'm still learning from it every single day. And I'm going to give you some tips and some tools to support you in moving through it. And so the biggest thing is that you come back next week and tell your friends. Thank you so much, Standing Strong. Also, again, check out the private group. Tomorrow, Friday, I am doing a group coaching with the women in the private group. And so if you sign up today or tomorrow morning, then you can get in time to check out the private group. It's tomorrow evening. And you come with your topics to the private coaching. You come with whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to get support with, and we will support you through it. All right. Thanks so much, Wendy. Thank you, ladies. Have a great Thursday. Have a great weekend. If you haven't gone to go see Black Panther, go see it. If you haven't gone to go see A Wrinkle in Time, go see it. We have got to support our brothers and our sisters and their gifts and the arts. And let's support Black movies with Black directors and Black cast members. So I'm going to go see A Wrinkle in Time on Saturday, and I already saw Black Panther. It was fantastic. So peace and blessings. Much love to you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.